How are you?
Hey, Camden, I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I stayed up late last night working on some funnels and woke up early this
Okay,
morning, and so
good.
awesome.
Very good. I was in bed by 8:45, and I got up at 3, and I've been to the gym and packed and all that stuff, and I'm on my way to the airport, so it's all good.
Oh yeah, where are you heading?
I've got to go to the States, go to Louisiana, and then California, so.
Oh, okay. So you're going to the Health, Wealth, and Happiness event in Shreveport, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And we're
Awesome.
doing a Six Sales Powers gig as well, and then in California, it's turning inquiries into deliveries. It's for internet leads, so yeah, it should be a good week.
Awesome. Well, speaking of internet, I had seen on your wall the other day you had posted an article about Bitcoin, and I
Yeah.
just kind of wanted to ask you about that because cryptocurrencies, it's this huge trending thing right now, and it looks like something, if not Bitcoin, it really seems like something like that may become a currency of the future that
Yeah.
everyone will probably be using. And I wanted to know what your take is on that. Is it something you think people should invest in? Is it something you're currently investing in? What do you think about cryptocurrency in general?
Okay. Value is very much related to scarcity or the perception of scarcity. So here's an historical fact. Tulip bulbs, I don't know if you know this, but tulip bulbs became the currency of Europe in I think the 1600s, where people were giving away their farms, their properties, their gold. Everything was turned in for tulip bulbs. So as crazy as this sounds. And it was like valued beyond anything they'd ever seen. And what ended up happening was, of course, look at today, tulip bulbs aren't worth any more than a grass seed. But for some reason, scarcity and supply and demand, tulip bulbs was the deal. So people were giving away their like generations of wealth for 3 tulip bulbs.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can research that. Kind of cool. The Bitcoin thing, there's 21 million Bitcoins potentially that can be mined, and they're mined through an algorithm of solving problems. So every time one is solved or you mine a Bitcoin, it gets a little harder and a little harder. So it's like a growth curve that kind of starts pretty flat and then starts to go straight up based on how hard it is to mine a Bitcoin based on the equation it's trying to solve, which is a fascinating thing. It's not really solving anything. There's no value to what it's answering. You're not finding out anything that's going to help humans. It's just solving random equations. It's bizarre. Interesting fact, right now the computer power to solve a Bitcoin equation is almost to 1% of global electricity supply. So almost 1% global power.
That's insane.
It's insane. It's being devoted to solving the Bitcoin equation, which is actually more than something like 60 separate countries don't even have that much power supply. The prediction is, as this algorithm requires more and more computing power, it's going to require by 2020 the entire electricity on planet Earth that's currently being produced to solve the last Bitcoin equation.
So basically, unless
grid,
we find,
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know that.
yeah, that's very interesting, because then I hear that and then I'm thinking they're gonna have to figure out an alternative way to power it or something like that, or if
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
So on the scarcity thing, I don't want to go on too much, but something really strange some people might want to look into that I started to look at about a year ago. And I'm an open-minded skeptic, so I'll look at anything. I find a lot of stuff very curious. But there's methane gas and petroleum products throughout every body in our solar system. They found it, methane gas and I think it's called polyhydrocarbons or hydrocarbons, which is petroleum. Now, supposedly, those are the result of fossil fuels, fossil degradation, and compression over millennia under high heat, and that's why it's a so-called unrenewable resource. The oil industry started out that was not what it is. It was called what's the name of it? another type of oil, which is just the result of water mixing with certain minerals under high pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to be given the label of an unrenewable resource in order to drive up the prices.
Really?
Apparently, it's not even a fossil fuel. And if it is, and my argument on that, the only reason why I believe that probably is the case, is either there's millions of years of life on now dead planets that are being compressed into fossil fuels on the moon and Mars and every other body, or it's a naturally occurring substance. I tend to go to now to naturally occurring substance, and we've been taught to believe, we're almost on our last barrel, almost on our last barrel, almost on our last pump. That's how you drive prices up. They're now doing it with water. That water is, a non-renewable resource, and companies are buying up licenses to all the fresh water all over the planet. Well, last time I checked, planet Earth is a contained system. And unless our atmosphere is blown off by something like, a massive meteor strike or a thermonuclear war, nothing we've ever seen, potentially, either one of which supposedly has happened on Mars, where the atmosphere is blown off into space.
Mm-hmm.
Well, water just cycles through condensation cycles, and it might move around. One area might become wetter, one area might become drier, but water is basically an element. You can't suddenly have no water on planet Earth unless we blow it off to somewhere. So they're now attempting, in my mind, to create a situation where water is seen as a non-renewable, finite resource we're running out of, so they can charge us for it. Like tulip bulbs, like oil, like real estate. There's lots of land. It's just where you're going to build. I'm driving right now. There's land everywhere, but it's they drive the value up through scarcity, and they do that through zoning. You only get certain zoning permits in certain areas to build certain things. The scarcity is not the land. The scarcity is the zoning. It's why zoning is done that way, is to drive up prices.
Oh, wow.
So, swinging back around to Bitcoin, I don't know what to tell you. It's a scarcity mentality, and people want to own what's scarce, and a Bitcoin isn't any more real than our current money. Our current money is all based on debt. It's all based on electronic, ones and zeros on a computer someplace. When you get a loan at the bank, there's no money that exchanges hands. It's an electronic system that now says, okay, you have a debt note, and they can basically lend out 20 times for every dollar you have in deposit. The bank can legally lend out 20 times that amount. So this fiat debt-based currency system, it's all scarcity. It's been made up again. It's all being leveraged. We don't even have any real money. So everybody talks about this, right? This global reset that's going to happen with the financial markets, and the financial crisis and crash that's coming. Well, that's also not a real thing. If it does happen, it's because somebody decided to reduce a bunch of decimal places. If it doesn't happen, it's because the decimal places are allowed to float and keep going. So I don't, Camden, I don't know what to tell you. It could be worth a lot, and it probably will be if you look at the way it's going up.
Mm-hmm.
Until somebody decides it's a tulip bulb, and then it's worth nothing. So if somebody does decide it's a tulip bulb, it will be worth nothing like tulip bulbs were overnight. But
wow,
right now, it seems to be going gangbusters. I never seem to have a short answer. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh no, a well thought out, detailed answer is always better than a short one. And I actually do want to say that going back to what you do sales, you teach people how to sell and master that art. And I do want to say, because how you mentioned, the currencies have always changed over time. And one of the skills, regardless of what future currency we may have to work with, 100 years from now even, people will still need to know how to sell things in order to have those transactions going. So
exactly.
At the end of the day,
the currency could be gold, it could be seashells, we've used that, it could be paper money, it could be debt on computer, it could be Bitcoin, it could be tulip bulbs, it could be real estate. I don't know. But it still requires, in business, you still have to have that ability to be able to trade up your value. So that's sales, right?
Exactly. Okay, so before I let you go, I do have some listener mail for you. If you just give me a second, I'll just read it here for you.
Camden, part of what I do, and I hope people are picking this up from listening, is I don't really like telling people what to think or what to think. To me, a big part of success is how to think.
Mm-hmm.
If you start thinking like or think how very successful people think, which again is this very much open-minded skepticism, then you can look at anything. really the mark of an intelligent mind is the ability to entertain any thought without judging it, and that's a lot of my viewpoint in life. So I don't really have an opinion on a lot of this stuff. I don't know, I'm talking out of my ass, or I'm just having a conversation sometimes. I don't know, but there's a lot of great information out there, and I'm obviously a curious person. I pay attention to a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's actually fun that you said that. I actually saw a video the other day saying that a genius is able to look at it was like this weird test where they're saying like a person who is a genius and a person who's schizophrenic will look at this illusion this one way, but what differentiates the person who has schizophrenia from the genius is that the genius is able to see kind of what the person with schizophrenia can see kind of at will, kind of look at both the perspectives. So,
yeah.
1 second, let me just pull up that listener mail for you. Okay, so this is from a kid named Charles. He's 16 years old, and Charles says, "Hi, Dwayne. I am 16 years old, and I've been thinking about my future recently. I love studying commerce. My ambition is to be a marketing executive or an advertising manager. What are the directions and which ones has a higher salary? Thanks." And again, he's 16 years old, and it's
good for him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that he's actually thinking about this stuff now. Because when I was his age, I was only thinking about like girls in basketball or something. So.
Yeah, cut and paste, girls in soccer for me, same thing. Balls are balls, right, Camden?
Yeah, basically.
Well, that's a great thought process at 16. You know what? As far as what pays more, if you pick something you love, you'll never feel like you're working, and that will eventually always pay you more because you're gonna have a passion for it, and you'll always be on a growth curve. Because sometimes you got to step back to step up. Sometimes you got to make less money to make more money, and that doesn't happen unless you like something. So I bet you if we did, you probably have to do some kind of analysis on that. I bet you they both make a ton of money. I'm not going to point you in a direction there because I think you got to find what you like. I never even thought what I'm doing for a living actually even existed as a living at 16 or 20. I think it was like 25 before I even realized that there was even something like what I'm doing now, which I make a great living at. So find something you like. I really don't even want to answer that question. And advertising and marketing are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an advertising executive, I think it depends a lot on the media that you're involved with. That's very much a moving target. So that's very different. Marketing is more how to actually take a product or an idea and push it up through the masses and create awareness and a desire for it. I tend to associate marketing more with psychology and advertising a little bit more with technology, but you know what? They both require each other's skills. So I don't know. Find out what you like, and I think you probably have to study both to be good at the other. I think they're very much related. Well,
I actually think that's a great answer. I actually figured that you would kind of answer like that, especially when you're 16. You really have to keep your mind extremely open because.
Yeah.
You can prevent yourself from going to school for something you end up and getting into all of this debt for something you end up really don't love at the end of the day. So,
yeah.
Awesome answer. And Charles, if you are listening, I will be sending this link to you for you to listen later. But Dwayne also has an excellent chapter in his book Unstoppable Attitude about decision making, using your head, your heart, and your gut, and how to use them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that'd be worth a read.
Yeah, so I don't remember the exact page number, but I'll send you the link to the book as well. And for everyone else who's listening, I'll also leave a link to Dwayne's book as well for you guys to check out.
Thanks, Camden. Thanks, Charles.
Awesome. Well, Dwayne, thank you so much for hopping on this call with me, and we'll do it again very soon. You there?
Yeah, Camden, we faded out a couple times, that time and about 5 minutes before. So thanks a lot, Camden. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Take care. Bye.
See ya.